him if you can record. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So continue chanting along with me. Gita Dhyanam. ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः. सर्वोपनिषदो गावः दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्ण घोर मकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारत पंकजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिन श्रेयसे Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande paramananda madhavam yam brahma varunendra rudra marutaha स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः Okay, so I'll unmute a few of you. Balaji, Mohini. Him, how is it on your side?
Yeah, I think it's fine today.
Okay. All right. So can you all hear me today?
Yeah.
Okay. So last class, we started talking about the context of the Bhagavad Gita. What is the background? How did this war come about? And in particular, slowly arriving at Arjuna's dilemma. So we talked about an important fact, values we were introducing, and these values, there are universal values, cultural values, and individual values. We are not so concerned about the cultural and individual values. There are some values which are universal. So I don't want to be hurt by you, and you don't want to be hurt by me, for example. So this is a universally known value. No human being in this world can claim ignorance to that fact. And animals don't, because animals, the actions of animals, behavior of animals is driven by what we call instincts. So they can be left out of this discussion on values, and they know whatever they need to know, and they lead a life. So there can never, an animal can never have a conflict like a human being has. So important thing to understand. But here, universal values are there. Therefore, conflicts are also universal. A conflict that is born of what I did or what I did not do. Two types of conflicts. I must have done this, I did not do it, causes a conflict. Or I should not have done it, but I did it. That's it. These are the two things that cause what is called guilt in the human mind. So Taittiriya Upanishad says that so kimaham sadhuna karavam means why did I not do the right thing? Kimaham papam akaravam. Why did I do the wrong thing? Why did I do it? So this question comes and it keeps gnawing at us, keeps gnawing, reminding, always there in our head. And nothing, looks like nothing can be done to change that fact. So it keeps bothering us all the time. So that is conflict. Conflict because I know what is right, yet I did not do what is right. I know what is wrong, yet I did what is wrong. This is the problem. So, and we also talked about this values not being absolute. Even though these values are universal, they are not absolute. Means we are saying that even though the idea of not hurting somebody is there, still we gave the example of a nurse who apparently causes hurt to the body. The surgeon apparently hurts the body, but the hurting is done in order to benefit that same person who appears to be hurt at the moment. And so, therefore, we say that even though the value for not hurting is there, and it can, some actions can appear as though that value is being violated, but it's not being violated. This is what we mean when we say values are not absolute. I hope I did not say absolute. I meant to say absolute. Yeah. So far, values have not become absolute. Yeah. So, therefore, Krishna spends a lot of time on values. We will see when we come to the 13th chapter. And he considers them to be so important that he lists about 20 values. So, amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, shanti, arjavam, like this big list he gives. And he doesn't explain anything. He just says amanitvam, moves on to the next one, adambhitvam, moves on to the next one, ahimsa, moves on to the next one. So here what we have to understand is that okay, let's give a couple of examples. Not complicated. So why should I not transgress dharma? If I use the word dharma, there is still some noise from somebody's microphone. Yeah, now it's better. So why should I not transgress dharma? Why should I not go against dharma? Simple question is asked. So we saw an example last time, and where the son is asking the question and father was not able to give a good answer. And so another example where somebody is in the business of, he's a stockbroker. He works in a stockbroker company, investment company, and he quietly makes some money here and there by doing some unethical things. And so once he wanted to make another 50,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees. And that is his idea. Becomes a habit. So you ask the person, why are you doing this? So he says, I am not, what will this money do to you? I want that extra money. What will it do to you? Well, 50,000 rupees is a lot of money. And I can, I've been wanting to take my family for a vacation to Gujarat. I am in Chennai. These Chennai people don't go to Gujarat. What does Chennai people have to do with Gujarat? So Gujaratis, they eat something different. All sweet things they eat. Chennai people and Andhra people, they need some hot stuff. So they have nothing to do with Gujarat. But Statue of Unity is there and so many other things. We heard good things about Gujarat. So I want to take my family. Yeah, good. So why do you want to take your family? Because they are bored, they also need a break, and I want them to be happy. The children have studied, they're studying. And these days schools, they make children study all the time. And so trying to get away from Chennai. So yeah, once you travel to the airport, you spend 3 hours traveling to the airport. After that, I think things may be better. So then you ask him, so why should you want your parents, I mean, family to be happy? Well, that is what will make me happy. Yeah, it will make you happy. Correct. Good. So, will your family, if you tell them that this 50,000 rupees I got, this is the way I got it. I did some unethical trading and I made some money in the process. And the person who actually invested the money lost that money. If you tell them the story, will they, what will be their response? Oh, no, I can't tell them all this. This is all professional stuff. They don't need to. I don't need to bother my family with all these things. Professional stuff. And yeah, they may not like all these things. Or they may not like all this. What will you be thinking when you stand in front of Sardar Patel, the steel man, iron man of India, who united all the states? And what a giant he is. And you are standing in front of a giant statue also. And what will you be thinking? I am using somebody else's money, not my hard-earned money. This is what is going on here. Will you be able to sleep well? What do you think in the night? Will you be able to sleep well? Will you be able to enjoy this money that you got? So that person must be made to see what he loses. The very happiness that I think I get by cheating is that same happiness that I will lose by that act of cheating. If I can see that, then there is no chance of my choosing this kind of a bad bargain. This money that I get by deceiving somebody is a bad bargain. It really will not get me what I want. So this is the education that is needed. So I'm reminded now of this Narada, the story of Narada. Some of you know. So Ratnakar was basically, he was stealing things from people who used to travel. Those days, all forest and all that, and anything could happen. So he used to steal things that people had. And so Narada comes one day, and then he's stopped by Ratnakar, and Ratnakar says, "Come on, give me what you have." So Narada says, "What do I have? I have this little instrument, and jalra is there, and some tambura is there in my hand. And you are welcome to take these things. This is all I have. I'm traveling, and all the time I'm traveling. And you may not have heard of me, but if you don't, these days people travel by flight to all countries and continents. So long before that, I am traveling, not just within Earth, but also I go to other worlds. And so this Ratnakar was stunned. How can there be a person who talks like this? And I don't need anything and all that. He says, I have everything I want. And he asks more, who are you? What are you? What is this? And Narada asks him questions. Why are you doing this? Why are you stealing this money from people? And then the story goes that Narada asks him the question, did you ask your family if what you're doing is acceptable? And Ratnakar says, yeah, of course, they are enjoying life. They know that I'm the one who is getting it, and so forth. And so Narada said, go and check it out and then come back. And so he does that, and he asks his friend, he asks his children, and And the children says, no, dad, my life is my life. Now, those days also kids were smart, not just now. Okay. So this papa and all, I don't want. That belongs to you. Wife says, half of your punya comes to me. All of your papa goes to you. So she washes her hands off. And at least my parents, they're all so kind. They must be, And parents said, son, when did we teach you to do all this? And what are you doing? And what kind of question you're asking us? Like that, they say. So he runs back to Narada and he's perturbed. So Narada says, no problem, you just sit and do your japa and that will take care of all your papa, and meditate over all these facts that you can't simply run over people like this. And so the story goes that another many years ago, later this Narada comes back and he sees a little ant hill and then realizes this is where this Ratnakar is sitting, meditating, and ant hill is just the ants have built a little small mountain there. And so that is Valmiki. So Valmika. Valmika means ant hill in Sanskrit. Valmika. So that person has, so this Ratnakar knew what is wrong, what is right. It's not like, even though it became a habit for him, he knows what is wrong, what is right. That is why he brings a knife. If he didn't know it was wrong, he wouldn't do that. Okay. So we saw earlier, money being an interesting thing. We often talk about money when we talk about values, because the value for money is known right from a young age. And so very few people can say what is the value of money. Even the poorest person knows the value of money. I wish I could have some money so I can have a good meal. That is the thought that is going on in his mind. So we saw that money is not for the sake of money. Go back to Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Nobody wants money for the sake of money. But if I'm confused, then I keep on accumulating money. And without even thinking about others, thinking about what I'm doing, what are the impacts of my actions, nothing. And I go after it as though money is going to solve all my problems. Money is a wonderful thing. It helps me get a lot of things, a lot of comforts, but it will solve all my problems is a wrong idea, which we should learn just by looking and at people and lives and so forth. And money gives me the buying power. It can make me buy books. Books, at least books are good to buy, no doubt. But that same money cannot make me read. And then somebody says, they give you money to read all these books. Some new books come, they'll tell you, please read it for us. And even if somebody pays me money to read a book, who is going to make me understand that what I'm reading? Will money make me understand something? Nothing. Money. Lakshmi says, now my job is over and you have to talk to Saraswati now. And it's not my problem anymore. He walks away. And so Saraswati has to come. How she's going to come? And she's jealous of Lakshmi. Therefore, she won't simply say, oh, just because Lakshmi came to your house, I will also come. She won't say that. So this problem is there. The music also, to appreciate music and subtle music and all that requires a lot. And what kind of money can make me appreciate all that? Nothing. Money has no role to play here. So, therefore, the inner maturity, to say somebody is mature, when we say, what do we mean by that? We will say that the person follows Dharma. The person need not be educated on what is right and wrong, but the person needs to know what does the person lose when the person transgresses dharma. Transgress is a word I'm using. If you don't know what it means doing an act in violation of. That is the meaning of the word transgress. So that is the education. We said last class that animals don't need any education on the laws of physics, and the monkey baby doesn't need that education, and all this 9.8 meters per second and 32 feet per second. All this, the monkey doesn't need all this education. But the education the human being needs is on the immensity of the loss. What will I lose when I go against a university? That is education. So if I lie, then what happens is, because I know that I should not lie, there is a knower in me. There is a knower in me. And then there is an actor. The knower knows what is right. Then when I actually do something in violation of dharma, then there is a doer, the one who did that act, the one who lied, and the one who deceived, the one who cheated, etc. So now there is a split in my mind. There are as though there are two people in my mind. Two people. The knower-doer split, or the thinker-doer split. And in Indian movies, those days at least, these days I'm not watching much, but those days I remember very much. So this fellow is just tossing and turning, sleeping, trying to sleep in the night, And, he pulls the blanket on his and sleeps, and then he moves like this, and they dramatize it so much, and he just can't sleep. And then this two people talking to each other, right? Hey, why did you do this? It's not fair on your part. You cheated a young man. And then he gets up and says, no, he also did this. And that is also not right. How can you say that is right? And then he says, wait a minute, you are 55 years old. And this young boy, he maybe did not know what he was doing. And so this dialogue goes on between these two people, conscience. So that is what happened. Split. This is what we say conflict. Conflict means the personality is split, and more the split, more the conflict, more severe the conflict. And there is a phrase they use, I heard in America. It's called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So I think some novel written by Robert Louis Stevenson, and so he creates these characters, I think. So split. That is the split we are talking about. So this split, this knower-doer split, is the cause of most psychological problems. Very unfortunate. And I know what is the right thing. I did not do it. I know what is not to be done. But for various reasons, for some pressure or whatever, I did that. And it keeps building and building. And it can be very tricky situations. It's not that people go around lying all the time. It can be family situations, very sometimes tricky. And, that is where there is a lot of tension, because we have to deal with our spouses, our children, our parents-in-law, and on and on. That is enough. That family unit is enough to give so much conflict, is it not? All of you know, we all have big families. And so that is why it is so important to be clear about this and nip things in the bud as they come up. Some conflict arises, you have to put an end to it. Proper discussion, open dialogue, all these things are important. It is for everybody's benefit. And so when I rub against dharma, so rubbing against dharma means what? When I violate dharma, then it is like, Swamiji gives the example of rubbing yourself against the bark of a tree, of a fully grown tree. And it has a thick bark around it. You try rubbing against this bark. And then without wearing a shirt and all that, then you will know what this rub is. And you rub the tree, and then the tree rubs you back. And that rub will stay with you for a long time. This is exactly what dharma is. I rub against dharma, and dharma rubs against me. And so when I gain something, when I think I gain something by cheating, deceiving, by cutting corners, I also lose. Every gain comes with a loss. Every gain comes with a loss. So this is common knowledge for us. Every gain comes with a loss. So I purchased a car. I gained something. Purchased a car with my own money. Okay, this is a different example. So don't. Purchased a car. I got a car, and we're all happy. Now they're all enjoying rides in a car as opposed to, this two-wheeler and family of 3 or 4 and very awkward, So only 2 people can go, sometimes 3 people. In India, you can see 4 also sometimes. And no, we have a car. Now, is there a loss or not? Is there a loss or not? You get a car, the loss is you spent a lot of money and you spent in lakhs of rupees. Previously, scooter cost you 50, 60, 70,000 rupees. Now it's more than 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs. Who knows? There is a loss of money and your maintenance. You're going to lose more money maintaining this car, and taking care of this car is not easy. And you lose time. You love this car, so every Sunday morning he gets up only to wash his car, and nothing else in the mind. No, he gets up early also. He used to sleep till 8 o'clock. But now he gets up at 6 so that he can wash his car. So time also is there. Time is lost. More time needed. So every gain, with it comes loss of something. And you must be comfortable with that loss. And so we don't say don't gain anything. You gain whatever you want, but there is always some loss. Buy a house, and previously you were living in a 1-bedroom apartment. Now you've got a nice 3-bedroom house. Great gain, but there is a loss. You got to maintain more and more things to do, etc. So loss. So here also, I lose my own. The conflict creates guilt and hurt in me. Guilt in me primarily. And the more I do this, the more I lose my own self-worth. And I am going to feel worthless about myself. And so that is a big loss for a human being. Very big loss. To feel that I am no good is a great loss. And here Shastram is trying to say, hey, it doesn't matter what you have accomplished. It doesn't matter whether you got big salaries in big companies or not. You are fine by yourself. This is the message the Shastram is trying to say. And for that, in order for me to appreciate that, I must have a good sense of self-worth already to begin with. Only then that message of the Shastram will ring true. Otherwise, this Shastram and I are far away. Can't come close to each other. Where is the time? What kind of nonsense the Shastram is saying? You are Purnaha, you are the whole and all that. There is no, that doesn't make sense at all. And so this split conflict is there and the split is there, which requires some education. So what is the solution to this? To that? Well, we said earlier, the animal doesn't have any choice. Therefore, no animal has any conflict. No animal needs to be a psychologist because no animal has a conflict. But the human being has conflict because there is choice. Because there is choice. So now I'm introducing choice as not as the cause of conflict, but I must exercise it. And if I don't exercise it properly, then the situation is ripe for a conflict. I must exercise it. I can't say, Bhagavan will take care of me. Bhagavan took care of you. That's why he gave you choice. Bhagavan said, this fellow is bored, so let me give him some choice. Last Janma, he was simply eating bananas because he was a cow. And now I'll give him choice. He can eat whatever he wants. Now I say, Bhagavan will make choices for me means what? Hey, you have to make choice. You're given the faculty to choose properly, appropriately. So eyes are given, I must choose. Hands and legs are given, I must use this properly, appropriately. And don't be like Gandhari. People say Gandhari sacrificed. We must understand where to sacrifice, where not to give up. This is very important education. And this man is blind and she's married to a blind man, and the blind man is supposed to be a king. And she says, he's blind, therefore I also want to blindfold myself. The biggest blunder made by anybody in Mahabharata. What kind of tyaga it is? The sacrifice you should have done is, you should have said, my God, he's blind, so let me be his eyes. Let me do what he would have otherwise done. He will guide me. Let him guide me. He knows, he's a very knowledgeable person. Let him guide me. I will be his eyes. That is what she should have done. And these children are all growing up, that too, not one or two children. They say 100 children. What is this? And the children, they want to look at somebody. And it looks at the mother and smiles. Somebody should be there to look back at the child and smile back. That validation the child needs. Otherwise, this child, what is going to happen? You know what happens to all these children. And child is just denied that love and denied that validation, and no idea, nobody to look at the child and say shabash and no or yes, whatever. And these people become rakshasas. Each one competing to be more violent than the other. This is what happens. This is Gandhari. Gandhari's creation. So I'm sorry, some of you may feel hurt. If you may be thinking Gandhari sacrificed her life. Sacrifice in the wrong, misplaced devotion, misplaced enthusiasm. Remember this. Misplaced. So sacrifice must be done, but in the wrong places, if it is done, it just. Same story, Bhishma also. Same story. They made a vow that anybody who sits on this throne, Hastinapura, I will be behind that person. And this person, Bhishma, suffered because of that vow. Suffered because the person who is sitting is a Hitler. And what will you do? He made a vow, so he can't even go back. So those days, spoken word was so important. And people won't just not do what they said they would do. So that's very important. So same thing. So here also the solution must be, I must exercise my choice, and I must, if I don't know what option to do, what to do, when, I should consult somebody. Nothing wrong. We have friends. And what do we do in this situation? So family situations, other situations, financial situations, professional, everything, conflicts will arise. And so I must exercise my choice. So I must be clear about means and ends. Means and ends. Money, is it a means or is it an end? If I think money is an end in itself, then I will be finished in no time. Whereas if I am clear that money is a means, it's just a means to accomplish so many things, then I can act appropriately. I can let go when I should let go. So this means ends clarity is needed. And so they say in America, a phrase I heard, shoot yourself in the foot. No, don't shoot yourself in the foot, they say. Very interesting thing. I suppose that means, hey, you're on foot, why will you shoot? And it looks like your actions are like shooting yourself in the foot. And don't do that. Don't do that. And so that is where this choice comes into play. And that is where education is needed. Education of what do I lose when I cut corners? What do I lose? And our Shastram, beyond what we already know, talks about punya and papa. And if I hurt somebody, then not only that somebody is upset by me, not only that somebody is going to curse me, but the Shastram says even if the person doesn't curse you, there is something called papam. Demerit, if you want to use a word, there is no equivalent English word for papam and punyam. So we will just stick with papam, pap and punyam. It's also there. So an additional information we get. The conflicts, they can even be simple conflicts. Like I want to get up in the morning, and I want to get up in half an hour. I want to meditate, and then so I want to get up a little earlier. Normally I get up at 7, but this time I want to get up at 6. And I've been trying this for the last 1 year, keeping the alarm at 6 o'clock, and then I hit the snooze button. Snooze button. Snooze. Array 6. 1 hour early. Do I need to get up 1 hour early to meditate for half an hour? And like this goes on, and then half an hour gone. Then, okay, today I'll sleep, I'll enjoy. Tomorrow is always there. So if I don't meditate today, what? The sky is going to fall down or what? So this is how the thought goes, and 1 year has passed. Nothing happened. And the idea of meditating is still there. And New Year resolution based. Next New Year comes, resolution can always be made. So the fellow who kept the alarm at 10 o'clock in the night, he's the doer. I mean, he's the guy who wants to get up. I value meditation, and so I want to get up. But then the person who gets up, the actor, is a different person. That doer did not consult the actor. I mean, the thinker did not consult the actor, the doer. And that consultation did not happen. And so the conflict is there. This is just a small example. Like this, everywhere there is a conflict. And who is going to, at least between two people, there can be a dialogue. And the children can talk to parents. The wife and husband can talk to each other. The employee and the boss can talk to each other. Conflicts. And I am not comfortable with this. And I think this was not right that you did. All these dialogues can happen. But how is the doer and the thinker, how are they going to talk to each other? So it's complex. It's complex. And Arjuna also is in a similar situation. Okay. So So in the Bhagavad Gita, so there also the what leads to the Bhagavad Gita is also something similar. So dharma versus adharma, and the common sense knowledge is there, dharma is there, and dharma is pitted against what one wants to accomplish. So Duryodhana has an idea of dharma, no doubt, but unable to follow it, driven by his likes and dislikes and some other emotions like jealousy, etc., driven, knowing full well he is transgressing dharma. And so this dharma, this conflict happens in the mind, of course, and dharma kshetra. Dharma kshetra refers to the entire Bharat, and because Bharat is known for dharma, and these Chinese travelers, 1,000, 2,000 years ago, they used to come and cross the mountains and come. And Huyen Sang says that even an animal, and even if an animal is not happy, it can come to the king's court and ask for justice, and that animal, that cow, will get justice. This is the way he describes India. Can you believe this? So Dharma Kshetra. And so Bharat referred to as Dharma Kshetra. This mind also referred to as a Dharma Kshetra. And this, when it's played out, then that is Kurukshetra. It's played out outside, physicalized. This conflict physicalized becomes a Kurukshetra. And that is where you've got two teams coming here, and one understands values, one understands the value of the value. Okay, now I'm introducing a new phrase called value of a value. Means the importance of a value, the significance of a value. And this other Dhartarashtras, they do not mind doing anything for the sake of power, for the sake of wealth, etc. So for them, the ends are important. For the Pandavas, the means are important also. Means, ends. So this chariot is an important thing where the analogy is given to the human body. The human body is likened to a chariot. Human body is likened to a chariot. In Kathopanishad, there is a beautiful mantra. So Atmanam Rathinam Vidhi, like that it goes. And it says, this body of yours is like this chariot. Now you must imagine 5 horses. 5 horses you must imagine for this chariot. And we all have seen in many places they have this poster of this Arjuna seated in the back, and Krishna, and then horses, etc. So this 5 horses refers to the 5 sense organs whose job is to constantly, they're all exposed to the world, and these horses take in the data, these sense organs, and the horses are just going towards those things that they see. But then there is a mind. The reins are the mind. The reins which are held by Krishna, the charioteer, is the mind. And the mind is the one that's receiving all the data from the sense organs. And then the charioteer, the one who drives the chariot. I don't know if you should say drive or ride. So I learned that you ride a scooter, but you drive a car. This is what I learned. And so you can't simply say I drove a scooter and I rode my car. It's a wrong statement. There must be some reason, I don't know. But so if for a chariot, what do you do? Do you ride a chariot or do you drive a chariot? So let's say drive a chariot. So the driver of this chariot, namely the charioteer, is the buddhi, the intellect, the deliberating, the deciding faculty. And then Then what about the person who's sitting behind the driver? That is the Swami. That is the master. He or she. The entire chariot, everything is meant for whom? That person is there behind. Very interesting. So that is interesting. So that is, if I understand this analogy, I quickly appreciate that this body is meant for me. I am not the body. The mind is meant for me. I am not the mind. The intellect is meant for me. Use it properly. But I am not the intellect. Like that. Anyway, so the driver is supposed to be, the buddhi is the driver, because the driver of the chariot can take you places, and if the driver is intelligent, can get you out of traffic jams. Traffic jams are there. So that is important. The driver's role is so important. The driver can advise. Driver will advise, no, I suggest you don't take that route. We will take this route. And like this, the driver has an advisory role. Exactly as in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna has a role of a teacher. And if the driver is drunk, and driver is not informed, etc., then you can get lost. Just get lost. So the importance of the intellect is highlighted. And then Arjuna comes in this chariot, and he looks at these two, looks at who is in front of him and behind him. And he finds, of course, his relatives. And he says, these are my people. How can I kill them? My people. So my people means what? My people means what? Means those people who can get away with anything are my people, right? So if an unknown person does something wrong, then, oh, that's not correct. That's not right. How did you do this? But beta, my son, he cannot do anything wrong. I'm blinded by my love for my son. And so anything he does is right. So we see this very often also, very sad. And whatever they do is right. So Arjuna says, my people. Hey, the fellow has been, these guys have been after you since you were a child, and you're still saying my people. And yeah, they're my people still. That's what Arjuna says. And so he has a conflict. What conflict? When the call of duty is pitted against relationship, when the call of duty is pitted against relationship, then you have a serious conflict. So we have this in families, we have it, and in workplaces, we have a conflict, because we know what is the right thing to do. You see somebody not doing the right thing, now what do? Conflict. And so Duryodhana doesn't care, and he just went on, but the Pandavas, they worry about all these things. So this conflict is there. So in those days, there was no such thing called a successful retreat. So you come to the war, and then you look around and say, I am going to, this war, this battle is not for me. I can't say that. You can't say that. These days, those, college students, especially in America, the parents' biggest fear is this child will come back from home. Their child wants to do chemistry, and they all signed up, and 1 year courses. Suddenly he comes, Mom, I am not interested in chemistry. This is the shocker. The parent doesn't want to hear this stuff. What, Peda? What is this? What are you talking? 1 year into college, second year started, you don't want to do chemistry means what? So this is very, I felt it to be very strange, and so that's a reality though. So, backing out. Those days, we come to war means that's it. You fight. Either you win or you lose. And even if you win, there's no guarantee you will be surviving. This is how it was. So that is why Arjuna, he had conflict and he just dropped his bow and arrow and he just sat in the chariot. He did not run away and all that stuff. He just was confused. And why is he confused? Because he felt that the people whom he is going to kill, yeah, they're all his relatives, no doubt. That is one conflict he has, which is how can I kill my own guru and my own acharya and my own uncles and my own cousins and my dear friends. That is one conflict, no doubt. But then his thinking is, these are all people, dharmic people. Dharma. Bhishma is a man standing for Dharma, no doubt. Drona also, Dharma. They just happen to cite the wrong person, but otherwise they are dharmic people. So this Dharma is not just a value, not just a discipline, but it is also a lifestyle. I mean, a life of discipline is also Dharma. Discipline is also called Dharma. Now, if I ask you, where is Dharma? You cannot point to anything and say this is Dharma. Dharma is there only in the human mind, which knows what is right, which knows what is wrong, and that is where Dharma is. And so you can't bottle up Dharma. You can't bottle Dharma and preserve it. Can't do that. Like they like they preserve wine. I heard aged wine people should have. That's what I heard. So they all talk about buying this wine and aging it and then drinking that wine after some time. Okay. So this dharma can't be put in bottles. Dharma is there only in a human mind. So if you want to protect dharma, what do you do? What do you do?
Train the mind properly.
You have to protect the person who follows dharma. Yes, I follow dharma. Only by following dharma, I protect dharma. Correct? Only by following dharma, I protect dharma. There's no other way. You can't say, oh, I'm sponsoring all these organizations, Veda Pathshalas and all these schools that are doing an excellent job of teaching. And I, give a lot of money to these people because I have a lot of money. But then I turn around and then I'm a corrupt guy. This is not acceptable. This is not the way. It's not acceptable. So the dharmi, who is a dharmi? A dharmi is one who follows dharma. That is the only way to protect dharma. So for example, you have to protect, if you value knowledge, you have to, scholarship is valued, you value scholarship. And then that you value scholarship, so you respect knowledgeable people. People who are knowledgeable in some area or the other, they are respected in any society. A society that values scholarship will provide an environment for scholars to be built and grow, and that kind of scholarship is nourished. So all our kings were like that, centuries ago. And the king also would fall at the feet of a scholar. Doesn't matter what field, nothing. Music, jurisprudence, any area, astronomy, mathematics, philosophy, no doubt. And so Janaka's famous story goes, Janaka was a king, wise man, and he saw at the gates, he saw somebody who's really, this guard, the guards were pushing a fellow out, and that Ashtavakra wanted to see Janaka. And Janaka immediately saw Ashtavakra is a genius, is a jnani. And immediately he sent word and invited Ashtavakra into the court. So because value for scholarship. And that is why some of the aggressive kingdoms and religions actually did this. Burning of libraries, burning of people at the stake, or scientists being persecuted. The scientists being persecuted is, I was stunned when I heard about this, or read about it. And then index of prohibited books. Look that up in Google. The Vatican, the Catholic Church had an index of prohibited books. These are books you should not study. In the 16th century, 1550 or something like that. And you had all this, astronomers like Kepler and Copernicus. Their books were in that list. For 200 years, Kepler's book was in that list. And until some 1800 or something, that book was removed from that list. And so this persecution of scholarship was always there. And some threat, I don't know why this religion has to do with science. And that's another uniqueness of Sanatana Dharma, is science and our Dharma coexist. One is not threatened by the other. So later on we will see why that is the case. But so only in our culture there is Saraswati Puja. Look, think about it. Saraswati Puja. And people wonder, what is this? You are worshipping goddesses and all that. In the West, they say all this. But here we have the benefit of Saraswati Puja, value for knowledge. I'm not saying other cultures don't value knowledge, and everywhere they value knowledge. But here it is all enshrined. It is all formalized. It is all symbolized in a way that we can appreciate even more. So therefore, here the dharmi has to be protected. So what is Arjuna's thinking? Hey, in front of me, I see a lot. I see dharmis, and if I kill dharmis, what will happen? The society will be leaderless. The society will not. There won't be anybody to guide society. I will create confusion in society. Not only I'm going to kill my acharya, guru, and all. That is one conflict. But the other conflict is this society will be waste, will just suffer if this war continues. That is his thinking. And so that is also part of his conflict. And so we will continue this discussion in the next class. And we are beginning to see, we discussed values, then we discussed dharma and therefore conflict, and what conflict can do and what causes conflicts. And so we see Arjuna as somebody who has a conflict. Om swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaah go brahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam lokas samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasya shalini desho yam क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतंगमय ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति शांति शांतिः हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम।